Daniel, and this is my family team from Secure Supplies. We have preserved and rebuilt green technologies actively around the world now for over 18 years. The water fueling and gas phase change technologies are changing the way your world's power and gas industries work. Helping you access these technologies is our life mission. Click the subscribe button now to join our technology releases and updates every Monday. And consider buying a ticket to the show by pressing the link in the description. If you would like to see the secrets ahead of time, head over to our Patreon tech training releases every Friday.
Is that West Antarctica, the Palmer Peninsula in particular, was actually 40 degrees north of its present location in the temperate zone. And that approximately 9700 BC, this is when this coincides with what Plato described as the time Atlantis collapsed into the ocean, that this is when the pole shift occurred. And so that coincided with that region of Antarctica moving down towards the South Pole and it being frozen over, and everything that was in that continent was flooded and flash frozen. And so according to the maps and the ice core samples, what we can see about Antarctica is that indeed West Antarctica has been ice-free for significant periods because the ice core samples only go back several thousand years at most. Whereas when we look at the ice core samples from East Antarctica, these are millions of years old.
When the Earth shifted on its axis, it caused Antarctica to move from a lush tropical zone to a colder region. And it did so quickly that it flash froze the waves that were leaping over the continent.
Several years ago, the CIA declassified a document that was authored by a geologist by the name of Chan Thomas. That document is called the Adam and Eve Story, and it describes a cataclysmic series of events associated with a pole shift of up to 90 degrees, where the Antarctic and the Arctic, those both flip approximately 90 degrees so that they are now at the equatorial zones of the planet.
With a rumble so low as to be inaudible, growing and fuming into a thunderous roar, the earthquake starts. Only it's not like any earthquake in recorded history. In California, the mountains shake like ferns in a breeze. The mighty Pacific rears back and piles up into a mountain of water 2 miles high and starts its race eastward. With a force of 1,000 armies, the wind attacks. Within 3 hours, the fantastic wall of water moves across the continent, burying the wind-ravaged land under 2 miles of seething water coast to coast. Central America suffers the same cannonade. South America finds the Andes not high enough to stop the cataclysmic violence pounded out by water in her berserk rage. In less than a day, Ecuador, Peru, Western Brazil are shaken madly by the devastating earthquake, burned by Mother Earth fire, buried under cubic miles of torrential Pacific seas, and then turned into a frozen hell. Everything freezes. Man, beast, plant, and mud are all rock hard in less than 4 hours. Europe cannot escape the onslaught. Western Africa and the sands of the Sahara vanish in nature's wrath. The area bounded by the Congo, South Africa, and Kenya suffers only severe earthquakes and wind. Survivors there marvel at the sun standing still in the sky for nearly half a day. As the Arctic basin leaves its polar home, eastern Siberia, Manchuria, China, and Burma are subjected to the same annihilation as South America. Wind, earth fire, inundation, and freezing. The Bay of Bengal Basin, just east of India, is now at the North Pole. The Pacific Ocean, just west of Peru, is at the South Pole. Australia is the new unexplored continent in the world's temperate zone, with only a few handfuls of survivors populating its vastness. The cataclysm has done its work well and drives the pitiful few who survive into a new Stone Age. Once more, the Earth has shifted its shelf, with the poles moving almost to the equator in a fraction of a day. Again, the atmosphere and oceans, refusing to change direction with the Earth's shell, have wiped out almost all life. After this tumble, we'll join Noah, Adam and Eve, Atlantis, Mu, and Olympus.
When we look at ice core samples, it doesn't support a pole shift occurring to that extent, not 90 degrees, but certainly 40 degrees or less. That's what the ice core samples support. These cataclysms would result in large loss of life throughout the planet, and that there would be portions of the planet, however, that would escape the worst of these winds and of these tsunamis, and those would be the survivors that would build civilization again from the ashes of that great catastrophe.
Even 15% of them, maybe less than that. Why are they hard to decipher? Because they're in a different language. They're in a vibrational language that you read it with a wet finger, and you're taught that chant, and you chant it over and over and over until that almost like Braille. When you go over it, you feel a slight tingle on your fingers, and you keep translating that, and a picture forms in your, it's not even in your mind, outside your mind. So when I run my hands over, there's a probably 4,000 to 5,000 flips, I would call them. They're triangles, and they have different symbolism on it. So you touch the symbolism, it brings you into a library. And the Copper Scrolls gives us instructions on technology, history, timelines, inverted timelines, different math to calculate those timelines. They explain about different physics, about 140 different ways of doing math. The Copper Scrolls, we don't think they're from here. The Copper Scrolls has been mentioned through the Bible, through a lot of the ancient texts. The Mormons have part of the Copper Scrolls. The Catholic faith has it. The government has some of it. And there's other organizations that have parts of it. And there's still some of the Copper Scrolls that's still buried that we know where they are. The Copper Scrolls gives us very specific instructions.
Now that 25,000-year cycle is not just some nebulous thing. It actually has a very tangible marker in the wobble in the Earth's axis that takes 25,000 years to complete. And this represents the time that is required for the stars in the night's sky to drift through a complete cycle surrounding the pole star. This acts as a type of clock that tells us when the end of the cycle is going to occur. And these historians found that 35 different cultures around the world were tracking this precession, and they had information about this precession encoded into their religious myths. And it does appear that some singular source worldwide programmed these mythologies and left this material for us to discover. Except they call it the Samvartaka fire, or Samvarta fire at the end of the age, which they say comes directly out of the sun. They also call it the Yuga fire. They also talk about the fact that it causes rainbow colors in the sky, and we find out that that's because it creates a massive global aurora borealis. Isn't it interesting?
Merch updates are ready. If you want to look good in the H2 hot rodding scene, and if you would like to pick up some hydrogen hot rodding merch, now is your chance. Please head over to our hydrogen hot rod shop. The link is in the description. Thanks. Alternatively, you can send me an email or join me on WhatsApp chat. The details are in the description. Let me know which things you like and what sizes you want. Network of home builders is growing very fast. Whether it's a roadster, supercar, or a yacht build, or maybe even an industrial power gas energy project. I'm here to assist and guide you. Please head over to the Consult with Dan link in the description and book a discussion for 10 to 30 minutes, and I will save you decades of study.